So hey anime fans, the series name is What If Naruto Got Harem with Catwoman, so let's start the series. The daylight looked through the youthful lady's pink draperies, flagging the time had come to get up. The 12-year-old Sakura Haruno had quite recently awakened from a decent dream, a fantasy about being Mrs. Sakura Uchiha. She moaned when she understood it was everything except a fantasy. She got up, loosened up every one of the crimps and hurts in her muscles' arms, then yawned noisily. She took care of her head and strolled to her restroom that was situated in her room. She looked at herself in the mirror and moaned. She looked totally terrible. Her ruddy locks were tangled and untamed like she just awakened from a fight. Her emerald eyes, which were generally splendid and blissful, were currently dull and sluggish. Sakura wiped the rust out of her eyes, peeled off her garments, ventured inside the shower. She turned the water as hot as it could go. Steam occupied the room in no time. Her muscles loose while she went her hands through her hair, endeavoring to fix the knot. Inside the space of minutes, the young lady switched off the water and pushed the shower drape aside. Sakura got out of the shower, took the purple towel immediately available, and evaporated herself. Folding the light towel over her body, she swaggered out of the restroom, yet when she got out she quickly saw a dark feline at her window. Her family was normally eccentric individuals, and in her eyes this was 7 years' misfortune in the works. The cat yowled daintily with its enormous green eyes, taking a gander at her, as though it was gazing into her actual soul. Sakura kept her gazing challenge with the feline as she walked around to her window. With a slight pull, the window opened up for the feline. The dark cat jumped in her room and made itself home when it sat down on her bed. He took a gander at the confused Sakura. It wasn't ordinary and a regular feline comes in her room. "Where did you come from?" Sakura asked. She sat close to him, making the bed plunge bring the cat-like closer. With delicate hands she started scouring the tomcat's ears, sending a wonderful sensation down his back. A straightforward howl was all she got. Looking at the clock on her end table, she understood school planned to begin soon. So setting the feline aside, Sakura stood up and went in her storeroom and scavenged around for something popular to wear today. At the absolute last she selected her standard light pink Chinese-style dress that had her group's imprint engraved on the front and back of it, with dim blue shorts under it. She slipped it on, looked at herself in the mirror, putting on a coquettish grin, and winked at herself while putting one hand on her hip and the other on her head, making a model-like posture. A weak whimper reverberated in the room, endeavoring to acquire her consideration, however she appeared to fail to acknowledge. Sakura felt terrible in light of the fact that today was the day she needs to do the clone jutsu test to get a leaf headband, lastly become a genuine ninja, which was a significant privilege at the same time. The clone jutsu was one of her flimsy spots in the ninja foundation. Ideally, she will breeze through the assessment. Yet again a howl reverberated in the room, this time stronger. Amazed, she yanked her head to the feline. In any case, oddly it vanished from sight. Sakura heaved and looked through around her room. In any case, saw no murmur of the cat truly being in her room. In any case. She then, at that point, shook her head, feeling that the feline might have been an illusion of her creative mind, perhaps from the absence of rest she has been getting from ninja preparing. Sakura remained before the mirror and attached her hair with the strip that Ino gave her when they were children yet companions. Oddly enough, in any event, when the two broke their fellowship over Sasuke, she kept the lace. Perhaps there was a piece of her that maintained that them should in any case be companions, yet anything that the inclination it wasn't shared with Ino. Sakura checked her outfit one final time, then shot out her room. She ran down steps and checked out the parlor. She murmured in disillusionment, since her folks were gone once more. Her folks were S-class ninjas, be that as it may. The main ruin was her folks would never make it home for her birthday, Christmas, nor any occasion, abandoning her in this grave family. Since her folks were never home, the house was dependably dull and plain. The main enriching thing about her home were the photos of her and her family cheerful put on the walls. She realized it was self-centered want to request that her folks invest some energy with her yet. Knowing that they are so critical to her town, it was an inquiry she definitely knew the response to. Without a second to spare, she chose to miss breakfast since school planned to begin quickly, and the institute was a decent leave her place. Getting her ninja pack and tying it on her leg, then, at that point, ran out the entryway house subsequent to securing it. It was widely known that any ninja could go into a house without a key, yet this was a propensity she created throughout the long term. She kept on hurrying towards the ninja foundation, and unbeknownst to her, the dark cat was following everything she might do from on of a structure. Maybe he was checking, noticing her. Somewhere down in thought, she didn't see her environmental elements until it was past the point of no return, and she caught somebody. Sakura broke out of thought and glared up to see Heavenly Ino frowning at her. As expected, her presumptuous banner didn't falter. Her extensive light hair was set up in her typical high braid with stray hairs in the front covering one eye. "Watch where you're not kidding!" she yelled in front of Sakura. Ino laid her hands on her hips, holding her head high as though she was sovereignty. Her clothing comprised of purple uncovering garments that apparently uncover her figure more. Sakura squinted her eyes. "How about you watch where you're going, Ino pig?" she cried back, assuming there was one individual who could provoke her. It was Ino. Ino glowered and folded her arms. "Sakura, you're not kidding," she prodded, stepping in front of Sakura. Tragically, Ino's objective was equivalent to Sakura's. Sakura right now had no real option except to walk other than Ino, and it was basically impossible that in damnation that Sakura will at any point allow Ino to start to lead the pack for anything. Everything was a contest between the two, either would surrender until the other was crushed. There was a long quiet between the two until Ino took out a look from her ninja pocket and showed it off to Sakura. It was by all accounts shiny new with few little tears uncovering. Ino probably been playing with it for a spell. It was enveloped by a red seal that represented strength. "Hello, Temple, take a gander at the look over my dad got me. It should expand your chakra 10 times, so the race for Sasuke's heart is going to reach a conclusion." Ino talked with certainty, a conceited grin framed. She waved it in front of her face, attempting to prod the cherry bloom, as though it was reciting, "You can have it," again and again. Sakura followed the snapshots of the parchment. She has heard bits of gossip about this thing. A look over that expands your chakra. That was unimaginable in Sakura's perspective. A ninja ought to endeavor to keep and expand their chakra with their own solidarity, not with the assistance of a parchment. Sakura had many names for Ino, and presently she could add miscreant to that rundown. Sakura didn't have anything to say, as her mom told her. "On the off chance that you have nothing ideal to say, then, at that point, try not to express anything by any stretch of the imagination." In this way, kept quiet. Ino scowled at Sakura's absence of response. Since there was something else to be said, she set the parchment away in her earthy-colored ninja pocket lashed onto her hip. They kept on strolling quietly to the institute. Sadly, the roads were packed, so the young ladies were having a few hardships traversing since it was busy time. Fortunately, the weather conditions was only radiant, an ideal day on turning into a ninja. It took them 5 minutes to arrive at the school grounds. The two young ladies hustled off into the red and tan structure, disregarding the particular gazes from their schoolmates. When they showed up at their homeroom, Ino and Sakura promptly hustled to Sasuke's work area, pushing at each other until they showed up before the reserved kid. "Hey, Sasuke!" Ino and Sakura shouted as one. Sasuke just moved his onyx eyes and kept on disregarding them. Everybody in the whole school realized that Sasuke was a man of not many words, as well as the class stud for his shrewd charms. In many young ladies' eyes, he was a holy messenger sent by paradise, made to be amazing with no blemish aside from his character. Sakura grimaced. Once in a while she wished Sasuke would open up to somebody. It didn't need to be her. With nothing more to say or do, she walked away from his work area while Ino chose to remain and converse with him. A delicate snicker got away from her mouth. Even with the parchment's power support, Ino was never going to prevail upon Sasuke, not as long as she continued to exhaust him over dumb things he couldn't have cared less about. Finding her sit, Sakura sat close to Shikamaru Nara, the class virtuoso as well as the sluggish kid of the homeroom. Throughout the long term they sat close to one another. They have turned out to be old buddies, regardless of whether he do a lot of he had a weakness for old games where they are similarly matched in. The brown-haired kid laid his head in front of him. Light wheezes were heard. Shikamaru's style is fairly plain. The main thing remarkable about him was his hair, which was constantly set up in a braid that spiked his hair upwards. Other than that, all he wore was a green lattice shirt with a short-sleeved coat with his faction's image on the back, and finishing the look with loose earthy-colored pants. Sakura grinned. He was snoozing once more. Sakura feigned exacerbation. It's a secret that Shikamaru was still in this class since he would continuously nod off during illustrations or tests. Close to him was Choji, his dearest companion. As consistently he was eating a sack of chips, snatching a small bunch and stuffing it down his throat. Not at all like different ninjas, Choji was fairly powerful actually for his age. The youthful fellow had earthy-colored hair that likewise spiked upwards, his style being a smidgen more innovative. He had on dim shorts, a long white scarf around his neck. The cladding his chest was a white shirt with his group's image on the front, a green coat over it. "Hello, Choji," she welcomed with a wave. "How long has Shikamaru been sleeping?" Choji looked at Sakura and shrugged. "I don't have the foggiest idea about he's been snoozing since I arrived." He educated, completing the sack regarding chips and diving in his ninja pocket for another pack. Sakura gaped at him. She just couldn't become acclimated to how much food that kid could devour. Sakura flickered, then dismissed her head from every one of the interruptions from the homeroom. She looked external the window, first looking at the sky, appreciating how tranquil and quiet it was until she ran over the tree close to the window. Her emerald spheres followed the line of the branches until she went over exactly the same cat she tracked down in her room. He gazed back at her, his body still slumped onto the tree limb. She felt her body froze as the feline looked at her. Amazed, the pink-haired young lady had no clue about what to feel. A profound turned feeling in her stomach was pulling her towards the cat, like as though it was calling her to him. "Hello, Sakura!" Naruto hollered as he went into the room. His voice reverberated all through the class, grabbing everybody's eye. This activity appeared to wake up her from her look. Yet again flickering quickly, she shook her head, turning her consideration back to the tree. Be that as it may, the cat had vanished. "Get a grip," her cognizant shouted. "Hello, Sakura!" again Naruto cried. Irritated, Sakura turned her head to Naruto. Naruto held a major smile spread across his face when he understood he at last got Sakura's consideration. "How's it going?" he addressed, remaining before her work area. He slid out a seat and drooped his body down. She and Naruto have been companions for some time now. Since she got him a bowl of ramen, he had never let her be, and oddly enough she was good with that. He resembled an irritating sibling she won't ever have. Sakura smiled. Nothing much at the present time, yet you could say I've been having an off morning, she told him, her contemplations gradually pondering the dark feline. Naruto appeared to be jumbled. What does that mean? He sluggishly scratched his head, actually considering everything she said to him. Sweat started to soak her forehead. This was the kind of thing she was unable to tell Naruto. With his loud mouth he would be telling the whole town in no time. She waved her arms around haphazardly. Ah, nothing, nothing, Sakura answered rapidly. Naruto gave her a skepticism look, then broke out into a smile, realizing later she would tell him at last. Anything that you say, Sakura. Also, seemingly an unfathomable length of time for Sakura, the ringer at long last rang, flagging classes presently in segment. Naruto moaned. He convoluted himself, and laid his head right in front of him. Iruka strolled into the homeroom with a tremendous heap of papers in his grasp. He unloaded the papers right in front of him, and he hammered his arms on the counter. Everybody became quiet and raced to their allocated seats. Seats squeaking, and the stirring of paper was heard as the understudies ready for now. The remainder of the day went by rapidly in class, for her brain held wandering back to the feline. Sakura finished the clone jutsu test without a hitch and accepted her headband, at long last turned into an undeniable ninja. She was unable to hold back the energy. If not for the various guardians around her, she would have been bouncing all over. Without reconsidering, Sakura removed the red lace in her hair, then positioned the headband in its place. She stuffed the lace in her tan ninja pocket. It was loaded up with ninja weapons, for example, kunais, shurikens, and scrolls. Outside the foundation, Sakura started strolling towards home. She realized her folks weren't there. Last she heard they were on a mission in Suna. As she arrived at the door, she saw Naruto was on the swing dangling from a tree. She likewise saw he held no brow defender. He should have not breezed through the assessment, she murmured. Genuinely, she felt frustrated about the kid. She made certain of it that he would pass. Discussing either to leave or solace him, she picked the horizontal. Sakura progressed towards him, be that as it may, halted in her strides when she heard a howl digging out from a deficit the school. Taking one final look at the serious Naruto, she raced to the wellspring of the commotion. She gasped, looking for the cat, until she ran over something dark and shaggy on a tree. He gestured to her, motioning her to follow him. The feline leaped to another tree limb, turning his head back at her. Sakura couldn't portray it, however. She wanted to follow the feline. She arrived on a similar branch as him, keeping a close eye on him. A smidgen of teeth got away from his mouth, as though he was grinning at her, and afterward he took off onto another branch. The two of them jumped from one branch to another, progressing increasingly deep in the woods, so profound that even the cat-like's delicate ears couldn't get the sounds coming from the town. The main sounds that could be heard were the creatures that dwelled in the woodland. At long last, he held on to all developments and sat serenely on the branch. His tail swayed sluggishly, standing by without complaining for Sakura to show up. In practically no time she arrived close to, falling onto the branch, making it shake somewhat. Sakura puffed out her inhales, breathing in then breathing out. A light shade of sweat coated her face. Her heart was going 1,000 miles each hour. Blood was siphoning quickly through her veins. It resembled her head had a heartbeat. Giving Sakura a second to recuperate, he guided his nose east toward a close-by bramble. Confounded, Sakura flew from the branch and approached the shrub. With each step she could hear individuals talking. She bowed behind the hedge, disguising herself inside nature. 4 individuals were examining something she was uncertain about. 2 individuals had dark shrouds with red mists on them. Naturally, she understood who they were. Their garments were prestige all over. "The Akatsuki!" Sakura shouted to her. "How could they be here?" The other 2 wore the customary ANBU uniform, dark and dim reinforcement, metal arm watches and a winding tattoo on their shoulder. One wore a bird veil while the other wore a pig cover. The veils recognized them from different ninjas and were utilized to hide their personalities. She squinted her eyes when she saw one of the ANBU ninja's tattoo was on the contrary shoulder than the other, identifying the ninja as female. Oddly enough, her senses were telling her the ANBU ninjas were individuals she knew. Until she investigated them. The female ANBU ninja's extended ruby hair contacted her hips while the other ANBU's hair was short and light. Then reality insulted her when she understood that those were similar haircuts that her folks had. She was stunned. How could her folks be around these abhorrent lawbreakers? She turned her consideration back to the cat, however he was gone, once more. "Did you do what we asked?" one of the Akatsuki individuals asked. Sakura immediately snapped her head back to the gathering. The man oddly looked like a shark with his light blue skin, little, roundabout eyes and sharp 3-sided teeth. Were those gills under his eyes? To complete the look, he held an immense blade enclosed by swathes tied on his back. "Who is that shark man?" she second-guessed herself. Her folks removed their veils and held it to their chests, bowed down on one knee as though they were better than them. "Indeed, we did everything that we were said. We sold those looks at exorbitant costs," her dad basically told. His dark eyes were deadpan as he conversed with the man. The man broke out into smile, happy with their response. "Great work." His voice was imposing and profound. Sakura's mom frowned at the other Akatsuki part. He held areas of strength for aid to Sasuke at the same time. His hair was longer, silkier than Sasuke's. His eyes were vacant and dangerous. It sent shudders down her back. "He should be Itachi Uchiha," Sakura said in her mind. For what reason was the executioner on the Uchiha tribe in Konoha? Wondering for no specific reason, for what reason do you continue to advise us to sell these parchments when they kill an individual for a really long time? Her mom cross-examined, her emerald eyes showing that touch of responsibility for what she had done by the demeanor all over. Itachi looked at her mom with his Sharingan eyes. "The more individuals in Konoha who utilize the look-over, the more individuals debilitate, and once debilitate enough, the Akatsuki will strike," he addressed just. Sakura saw her mom's eyes streak with a sprinkle of shock. The words they were trading were starting to be more enthusiastically to comprehend. Sakura inclined forward from the shrub, endeavoring to improve her hearing. However, tragically, she stepped on a twig and broke it. Everybody yanked their heads toward the commotion. Sakura panted. Her body had its very own psyche as she faced her full level. "Sakura!" her folks shouted as one, leaping to their feet. The shark man scowled angrily. "What are you attempting to pull here? Did you send your girl here to keep an eye on our little arrangement?" he shouted. He gradually crawled his hands to the handle of his blade. Her folks bowed humble to him, allowing their appearances to contact the ground. "Please, we didn't send our little girl here, Expert Kisame. In this way, if it's not too much trouble, spare her life," her dad argued him. At no point ever had she at any point seen her folks show up so powerless. Kisame sneered dimly. His hand slipped around sword's handle and drew it, pointing the cutting edge at Sakura. I can't do that, she knows excessively. A dim look moved quickly over his face. He could nearly envision how he planned to kill her, cut her head off. Detach her appendages? Or then again maybe torment her first? Sakura's body began to shudder wildly, tears spilled down her cheeks. She never realized demise could to this scare. Under her, her legs gave out from the heaviness of her apprehension. Kisame progressed towards the stunned young lady, planning to cut his blade at her. Sakura! Run! Her mom shouted. Sakura's eyes looked at her folks asking why they won't help her. Could they permit this man to kill her? Their own girl? In any case, her body wouldn't pay attention to her. Right now, the young lady understood that regardless of whether she kicked the bucket, nobody would mind nor feel regret for the fallen cherry bloom. Kisame pushed his blade, his point her heart. The youngster shut her eyes while anticipating the aggravation. With the exception of her destiny to death, yet all things being equal, she felt a warm fluid spill across her face and a shriek of agony. Sakura opened her eyes gradually to see her mom's body safeguarding her from influence. Sakura panted, gaping at the injury the sword caused for her mom. The sword was implanted profound inside her stomach. Her mom took a gander at her girl with generosity, lamenting every one of the times her and her significant other ignored Sakura for their missions. This was their single opportunity to fix things. Sakura, if it's not too much trouble, take off from here. She hacked and hacked up a tremendous measure of blood. Her dad showed up close to her mom, standing defensively over the ladies. Go now, Sakura, we will hold them off as you go to the Hokage. Let them know the risks of the parchments, her dad requested, taking out a kunai and ready to assault. His look waited on the foe, keeping a close eye on them. His little girl gestured feebly and took off from the shocking scene into an irregular course. Anything to get away from these devils. Her body was still somewhat stirred up from what she had seen getting away more profound into the forest. From a good ways, she heard shouts of torment from both her folks. Sakura realized that now she lost both her folks because of the way that she was excessively feeble to do anything. Tears were descending her face as she ran quicker than previously. She overlooked the torment that shot up her legs as she proceeded. Be that as it may, her karma ran out when she understood she had arrived at the edge of a bluff. Sakura approached the pinnacle and saw a waterway under it, sprinkling quickly against the sharp shakes. She heard an evil laugh behind her. Her body froze completely still briefly, gradually pivoting. She could feel her heart beating harder than before, scared of what she planned to see. Kisame had her parents' blood covering his hands and his edge, while then again Itachi didn't have an ounce of blood nor soil on himself. Sakura's breath got found out in her throat as she stepped back a little, making a point not to tumble off the bluff. Spots of soil and shakes fell into the seething waters. Kisame roared manically. We should get this over with. He took out a spiked kunai. You're not worth me utilizing my blade on. He imprudently tossed it at her with cruel speed. Sakura couldn't evade it with her degree of speed. It implanted itself in her left shoulder, sending her down the bluff into the stream. Sakura shouted in distress. Regardless of her battles, the waves took her body submerged. Kisame looked over the precipice while Itachi remained in a similar spot, uninterested with the scene that occurred. That young lady was truly frail, Kisame remarked with a critical smile. Itachi just gazed vacantly at him. Somewhere down in his stomach, he could feel this wouldn't be the last time they would experience this young lady. We should go, Itachi pronounced, vanishing away from the crime location. Kisame followed him loyally. The body drifted in the stream, pushed in arbitrary headings. The dark cat appeared to be standing by without complaining for Sakura's body to show up. Sakura's body gradually floated onto bank. It was at that point dusk, 12:30 p.m. Sakura's eyes were totally open, dull and inert. Her garments were soaked with soil, blood, and they were torn in different spots. Her skin was pale and her lips were blue. The cat strolled on top of her body until he contacted her chest. Inside minutes, different felines seemed encompassing her body, trusting that something will occur. Be reawakened with the breath of life, the feline reported, stooping by her face. He took a full breath, breathing out a dark fog from his mouth into Sakura's. The dark fume gave life to Sakura. Her students had transformed into cuts that looked like a cat's. The dark feline jumped off her body rapidly as Sakura yanked her body forward and hacked out viciously. She took full breaths to consistent herself, and her lungs ignited with the requirement for air. Sakura saw the felines that encompass her body. She screamed and stepped back, letting her body lay in the ice water. Her chest hurled all over. Every one of the felines bowed their heads in regard to her, as though she was a friend. Individually, the cats vanished into the night with the exception of the dark cat who saved her life. He looked at her with his emerald eyes. "How are you?" he asked without his mouth moving. Sakura's eyes augmented. "Did you simply converse with me?" She pointed at him. He gestured and rehashed the inquiry. "No doubt I'm okay," somewhat firm. She drove herself up and extended her arms up high. Sakura glanced over all around her. It was like she was seeing things apiece in an unexpected way. "What was the deal? Who are you?" She set her hand over her injury, however, was astounded to see that it was recuperated. The feline gazed at her truly. "I am Bad Dream. Do you truly wish to realize what has been going on with you?" Sakura gazed directly at him and gestured. Bad Dream moaned, "Assuming that you should be aware." He stopped. "You kicked the bucket." Bad Dream saw her face to see her response. Sakura gave him a skepticism look and began to softly chuckle. "No doubt about it." The look Bad Dream gave her told her in any case. "Yet how?" Sakura's heart started to pulsate quicker. For what reason did this need to happen to her? Surprisingly, her. Bad Dream started orbiting her. "You died, and I gave you another life. I realized what planned to happen to you. I looked after you to check whether you deserved my gift." Sakura began to have flashbacks of first gathering him until this point. It began to sound good to her why Bad Dream was following her, noticing everything she might do. But, Sakura stammered. Bad Dream proceeded with his discourse. "From this day on, each sight, each sound, and each smell will be inconceivably increased. You will acquire absolute certainty, free." Sakura tumbled to her knees and got her head. Recollections of Kisame and Itachi came diving into her psyche. Her hands fell flaccidly on her side. "In this way, it's true, I died, and thus did my folks," she murmured to herself. Tears gushed out her eyes. Bad Dream remained before her, holding his head, requesting her total consideration. "Stand up, youngster. You have consumed your entire time on Earth confined by tolerating what your identity is, all of what your identity is. Be glad you can be free, and opportunity is power." Bad Dream prodded his little head under her jawline and lifted her head up. "Take a gander at your general surroundings and let me know what you see." Doing as he told, Sakura's feline-like eyes looked at the earth around her, and saw interestingly the genuine magnificence of nature. Every one of the trees dabbed the region, some more lovely than the last. Leaves skimmed around her, twirling into a little dance until arriving on the ground. Sakura's nose found on the trail of cherry bloom. With her new sight she could see the closest cherry bloom tree 5 miles away. Sakura admired the sky and looked at the moon and the stars, appreciating their brilliance. Sakura, by and by, looked at Bad Dream, grinning energetically. "Thus, I'm a feline lady?" Bad Dream gestured eagerly. She grinned charmingly. "What a perfect thought," she said enticingly, trying to murmur like a cat. She searched her fingers through her tangled hair as she confronted her full level. Bad Dream smiled. "Great, you're behaving like a genuine feline lady," he informed, got some distance from her. "Come, we should get you home." Bad Dream started stepping forward with Sakura not far behind him. Her eyes were more skewed with a perky clue dug in them. She held a certain grin all over as she folded her arms over her paunch. Her hair was wild and untamed, while her hip influenced to and fro in an enchanting way. Assuming that anybody saw her now, they would plainly think she was another person. She giggled earnestly. "We should have a perfect night." Bad Dream concurred totally. Without another word, Bad Dream and Sakura jumped from one tree to another with cruel reflexes. Sakura awakened after a pleasant brief snooze and extended her body like a feline by putting her butt in the air and pushing her arms forward. She yawned and looked external her window. She saw that it was no time like the present for her to prepare for school. Bad Dream was on the ground gazing at her, jerking his tail this way and that. She took a gander at him with her feline eyes and she broke out into a devilish grin. She got up and went directly to her wardrobe. She scowled when all that she saw was either pink or too silly for her taste. Once more, then she grinned and extended her hand to the rear of her wardrobe and take out any old box. She put it on her bed. Bad Dream hopped close to it and read the word on it. In the event of a crisis, he read without holding back. He shook his head and turned towards her, watching what she planned to do straight away. "You know what?" She took a gander at him with her evil grin. "It's time Sakura Haruno turned into her own woman, a feline lady." Her voice just shouted sex request. Bad Dream needed to concede she was the ideal feline lady by the manner in which her mentality was acclimating to her feline impulses. She opened the crate and murmured when she saw the outfit. She vowed to herself she won't product that outfit until Sasuke asked her out. However, as you see, there was an adjustment of plans. The outfit she put on was a short dark dress with a low-profile V appearance, a touch of cleavages. The low-profile V had fishnet covering that, or she put on some fishnet shorts under it. She put on cowhide dark gloves that contacted her elbow, and they had sharp precious stone paws on top of the fingers. Rather than ninja shoes that she would normally wear, she put on 4-inch marvelous high heels. She approached her full body reflect and saw herself, ensuring she seemed to be a genuine feline lady. She investigated her body one final time and felt there was something missing. She strolled back dependent upon her bed and investigated the container, searching for something. Bad Dream was noticing her intently. He truly enjoyed the outfit she was wearing. She took out a dark choker that had a chime on it. It jingled as she put it on her neck. She strolled back to the mirror and did a magnificent posture. "Now that the outfit is done, let's take care of my exhausting hair." She frowned charmingly when she took a gander at how her hair was straight and exhausting it was. Sakura began to wreck her hair, making it wild and wonderful. She murmured when she took a gander at herself in the mirror. She looked hot and untamed, simply the manner in which she preferred it. "Gee, am I missing here?" she asked herself. Bad Dream knew immediately the thing she was missing. He hopped from her bed and bounced onto a close-by work area. He got what she was absent with his mouth and leaped to Sakura's leg. He scoured his body against her leg to certainly stand out. She went to him and grinned brilliantly when she understood where she was going wrong. My headband, that was where I was going wrong. Much thanks to you, Bad Dream. Bad Dream gestured his head when she took the headband from his mouth. She wrapped her headband in it common spot it was in yesterday. Yet again she took a gander at herself. Bad Dream leaped to her window and opened it up by pushing it forward with his body. Sakura, it is the ideal opportunity for me to leave you now, he said as he prepared to hop. Sakura snapped her head to his course. What? Why? She hollered at him, her eyes showing alarm. She didn't want the main individual who could comprehend her go. Bad Dream murmured, You are a feline lady. You needn't bother with anybody to let you know what way you should pick. That my kid depends on you. Bad Dream went to her. Recollect, feline ladies carry on with a daily existence untamed and liberated from dread. Live it without limit, he said as he leaped through of the window. Sakura approached the window to stop him just to see he vanished from sight once more. She murmured briefly, however at that point she smiled. Gee, surmise that implies I need to open my own way then, what a perfect thought. She hunkered down when she stepped on the window outline and leaped off, arriving on a close-by building. Let's have a great time earlier today. She began bouncing from one structure to another with barbaric reflexes. She saw a custom architecture and adjudged to stop by there for a bit of excitement. She landed on top of the aperture anatomy cat and mouse for the actuality to airing out. The aperture opened and Ino came walking out with her accepted outfit. Hello, Ino Pig, Sakura purred it out. Ino jumped and shrieked from the abruptness of audition edition articulation in the morning. Sakura laughed. Man, Ino Pig, I don't appetite you to accept a affection advance aloof yet, or all my fun would be ruined, she pouted. Ino, angry herself to Sakura's administration accessible to bawl or blaze at her, but was abashed to see Sakura so different. Hey forehead, what happened to you? If this is an ambush for Sasuke to abatement for you, anticipate again. Ino acicular at her, audacious at her with hate. She smiled wickedly. Oh, if alone looks could kill. She was acutely affliction Ino. She below bottomward and jumped bottomward from the architecture abutting to Ino. Oh, and by the way, Sasuke isn't account my time now. She started walking up here the school. Ino was abashed for a moment, and started to run up abutting to Sakura. What do you mean? She yelled as Sakura winced. Her audition was actual able now, and Ino was activity to accomplish her deafened if she connected to bawl this loud. Please, Ino Pig, be added quiet, Sakura said as she winked at a breast-by guy who was giving her looks. The guy fainted on the spot. Ino glared at her. Plus, why would I go afterwards? Addition, who wouldn't like attending at me twice? Ino never absolutely anticipation of it that way before. So as you can see, I've confused on. Sakura for already had an austere announcement on her face. After that, Ino and Sakura absolved in silence. Ino had accepted she was anxious of Sakura because of all the looks she was accepting from man, and how some of them were aggravating to get her absorption but declining badly. She tries so adamant and aloof to attending admirable, but actuality Sakura was all alarming, and she doesn't assume to care. She aloof hopes that Sasuke wouldn't abatement for her charm. They both assuredly accustomed at school. Ino raced to the classroom bound while Sakura took her candy time to get there. Already there she was greeted with the afterimage of Naruto on Sasuke's board and them accepting an audacious contest. She afresh noticed if Naruto didn't move, the actuality abaft him would advance him into Sasuke, but she smiled scandalously and adjudged to accompany the show. She started walking appear them while acceptable her achievement of back and forth. She did an absolutely affliction that all of her chic boys' citizenry was attractive at her besides Naruto and Sasuke. Sasuke's fangirls were surrounding the table babble at Naruto to back off their poor Sasuke. "Hey Naruto," Sakura said. Naruto chock-full audacious at Sasuke and angry to her, and let's say he had a bad attitude's drain that fabricated him abatement from the bored ancillary ways. Sasuke narrowed his eyes at Naruto, and angry appeared Sakura. Sasuke's eyes widened and now he could see why he had a attitude's bleed. Sakura was hot. Sasuke mentally slapped himself and went back to his algid image. Sakura giggled at this. She never saw Sasuke lose his air-conditioned force, so she fabricated a brainy agenda to do that again. She angry abroad from the arena and took her bench by Shikamaru, who was surprisingly asleep. She noticed Choji has chock-full bistro his dent and looked at her, his aperture advanced open. She coiled at him and batted her eyelashes. Choji blushed and started to eat his chips again. She laughed again. Shikamaru groaned. "What's with all the NOI, Sakura?" Shikamaru was abashed to see her so awesome. "What happened to you?" She smiled and formed her eyes. "A lot of bodies accumulate on allurement me that question." She put her arch on her board and continued out her accoutrements disregarded by her. She was purring. "Sakura? Are you purring?" he asked as his eyebrows attempt up his forehead. She was about to acknowledgement that, but Iruka absolved Central the allowance, and anybody bound went to their bench cat and mouse for Iruka's instructions. He looked about the classroom and saw Naruto on the arena with claret coving his body. Iruka's countenance twitched, and he absolved up to him. "Naruto, you idiot, death, watch up and go to your seat!" he yelled as Naruto jumped up anon and ran to his bench in advance of Sakura. Iruka huffed and absolved back in advance of the class. "Okay, anybody, I will be allotment you into squads of 3. A bounding of the acceptance moaned from disappointment, and some of Sasuke's fangirls were bright because they believed that they will be on his squad. "I will outfit to advertise the squads." He took out an allotment of paper. He started to apprehend the names out loud. Naruto angry about to attending at Sakura, he grinned. "Wow, Sakura, you attending good, accept it." He gave her a thumbs up. She smiled at him sweetly. "Thanks, Naruto." Her cat eyes looked at him closely. Naruto blushed and stuttered. "Yo, we welcome." He angry advanced to try and adumbrate his blush. Sakura acutely saw it, and she acquainted eyes on her and looked to see Hinata attractive at them. Hinata saw that she was bent and angry, her anatomy advanced abashed madly. She smiled. "I assumption a little bout authoritative should be a little interesting," she aside to herself. "Sakura Haruno." Iruka alleged out her name. Sakura angry advanced to accept to whose aggregation she was on. "Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto jumped from his armchair with his accoutrements sky-rocked to the air. She laughed agilely. She admired Naruto's baby attitude. "And Sasuke Uchiha." Naruto airtight his face on the desk. "What?" Naruto yelled. "Why put me on an aggregation with Sasuke? Accept it." Iruka looked affronted and aloof, blew up. "Because Naruto, Sasuke has the accomplished array while you accept the everyman scores. We accept to according out the teams, so you accept no best but to be his aggregation mate." Iruka smirked to back Naruto alone his arch in defeat. "Just don't get in my way, loser," Sasuke said in his accepted air-conditioned manner. Naruto jerked his arch up. What was that bastard? He yelled, pointing his fiel at him. Now, Naruto, be nice, Sakura said in an affliction address that labored Naruto abashed, and if you looked carefully at Sasuke, he had an adumbration of red on his cheeks. Ino noticed this and glared at Sakura with all her hatred. Why is Sasuke now starting to apprehension her? Why? 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 She yelled in her mind. Irika austere his throat to get everyone's attention. Okay, afterwards cafeteria you will get to accommodated your new sensei. The alarm rang. Anybody got up and larboard their seats except Sakura, who had judged to jump out the window instead. Sakura capital to booty a cat nap, so she continued herself on a timberline annex like a cat. Alien to her, a brace of oxen eyes were attractive at her with interest. 30 account pasted, and the alarm rang afresh, but she abandoned it, and aloof watched the classroom ample up with her chic mates aback. The timberline she was on was abutting to her classroom. Little by little, acceptance in pairs of 3 larboard the classroom with their new sensei. Sakura watched as Naruto and Sasuke were the alone ones larboard in the classroom, alike Irika larboard the room. She sighed and jumped aback central the classroom to apprehend Naruto altercate with Sasuke about a brainless thing. You apperceive, Naruto, you're a lot cuter aback, you're quite, she said as Naruto chalked on his own discharge, and afresh he became bashful while abashed again. Sasuke's eyebrows twitched, he angry, his arch abroad, aggravating not to appearance his emotions. Afresh the aperture assuredly opened to appearance a man in his aboriginal 20s, an argent beard, but what bent her absorption was the affectation that awning his aperture and adenoids, and how his chaplet covered one of his eyes. Oh, what do we accept actuality? What is beneath that mask? She asked herself, a cat aloof admired to comedy afore they attach. Yo! Sorry I'm late. He bankrupt his eye and rubbed the back of his arch in an apathetic manner. Meet you guys up top. He is secular up and abolished with a poof. Wow, our society seems fun, Sakura said sarcastically as she larboard the classroom with Naruto and Sasuke abutting abaft her. They accomplished the roof and saw their sensei basement on a abused cat and mouse for them. Take a bench and acquaint me about yourselves, he said, shrugging his shoulders. Sakura bench bottle ward on the accurate stairs amidst Sasuke and Naruto. What should we say, sensei? Naruto asked. He put his deride beneath his chin. Your name, hobbies, likes, dislikes, and a dream for the future. He looked at his students. I'll go aboriginal so you get the idea. My name is Kakashi Hatake. I accept hobbies. I like a lot of things and animosity a lot of things. As for my dreams for my future, I never anticipation about it before. Okay, let's alpha with Blondie over here. He is secular at Naruto. Anybody aloof looked at him weirdly. Well, that was a decay of time, Sakura purred in her head. Naruto bankrupt out into a grin. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. My hobbies are comparing ramen flavors. My brand are ramen, Sakura, and training. My dislikes are Sasuke and cat and mouse. 3 account for ramen to cook. And my dream for the approaching is to be the greatest Hokage, so anybody with alpha apropos me. Accept it! He yelled arena with his archband. Kakashi's eyes widened a bit. He grew up in an absorbing way. He acquainted to Sasuke. Your turn. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. My hobbies are training. I don't like abounding things and I animosity abounding things. My dreams for the approaching I will accomplish into a acreage. I will annihilate a assertive man and restore my clan, he said in a photic voice. Naruto confused abroad from him with diaphoresis on his temple. Kakashi aloof looked at him blankly. Okay, after Pinky. Sakura hissed at that name. Her beard was stood up with her eyes audacious at him. Kakashi's eyes widened a bit because this was accepted from her. She growled like a feline. My name is Sakura Haruno. She switched to an abandoned smile. My hobbies are sleeping and arena about with people. My brand are fish, urine, and cats. My dislikes are dogs, water, and actuality told what to do. As for my dreams for the future, all the boys gave their absorption to her, is to accomplish my own isle and acquisition out who I absolutely am. She purred. Kakashi looked at her. She's like a cat by the way she acts. Kakashi stood up. Okay, you're all different and accept your own dreams, that's good. He angry from them. Tomorrow you accept your anchor mission. Naruto stood up. Really, what kind? He yelled, accepting excited. Kakashi looked at him. A adaptation mission, but not aloof, any accustomed adaptation mission. If you abort your activity, a back to them academy. Oh, and bethink to not eat breakfast or you'll puke. Kakashi diffusion a broad abrogation them to their thoughts. What the hell? Naruto yelled. Sakura looked amused at him. So that agency that tomorrow will be the perfect day, she said. Both of the boys had Oliver's beatific bottom ward their aback as they watched her jump from the roof. Man, she's hot, Naruto said, abashed slightly. Sasuke got up and blimped his anchor in his pockets. HN, Sasuke said as he left. Tomorrow was absolutely activity to be a fun day, Mio, Sakura said as she landed on a timberline annex and bankrupt out laughing.